Hello. Hi. 1 second. Sure my sound's working. So quiet. Oh, that's better. Hello. Join at this device. Chat. Cool. All right. How are we all? Oh, wait, hang on. Allow mics. That might help. What's up? All right. Waiting on anyone else? Hello. Hello. Cool. Just maybe a couple more on their way. Yo. All right, we got Nick, Martin, Leo, Mark. Okay, cool. Hope we're good. It's week 12. Week 12, aka 2 more weeks till the assessment's done. Due, I should say. Um, Looking forward to hearing more and more sounds. Some good ones coming through. Very happy. Very happy. I'm not just saying that. So good so far. More, hopefully, I get to hear more soon. Share screen. Include sound screen. We're recording. We're looking good. All right. So, what are we talking about today? I'm going to talk about processing. Yes, indeed. Okay. Diploma online. Now, thumbs. Oh no. Who can honestly say, and just react with a thumbs up or smiley face, but who can honestly say they feel comfortable in across all the effects, especially in Ableton or just in general? Who thinks they know exactly what to go for when they need something in terms of effects? Anyone? And if you don't, that's kind of the trick question, because it's kind of what's the word? Can be a bit intimidating trying to get understanding across all effects. Leo, give you your mic privileges. Yeah, that's fine. And I didn't expect anyone to, because there's too many, and they keep making up new ones, which doesn't help, right? Now, 2024, we're extremely privileged in so many ways, but when it comes to Ableton, we are exceptionally privileged. Presuming everyone's on Ableton Suite at the moment, is that right? Thumbs up if you're on Ableton Suite. Yep. If you're not, I'm sure you're working on your way there. Any Ableton standard or intro users? Oh yeah, Leo and standard. Cool. You're not missing out too much, but Suite does have an awful lot. So it could be a thing. Unless you use your own plugins, that's fine. That's cool. No biggie. But yes, 2024, Ableton Suite as it stands, it pretty much has every effect you need. And if you're wanting something specific, then sure, jump on. And this is for the rest of the classes on Ableton Suite. If you need something that's a little bit more esoteric or very niche, then sure, jump on maxforlive.com and have a look at some more, what's the word, customized options. Like, for example, for me, if I want a different style synthesis, which we don't talk about in this class because it's kind of a little bit, what's the word? It's very niche, but what we've been doing is considered East Coast synthesis. So largely where you take multiple waveforms, shape them, cut them away, subtract the synthesis. There's another type called West Coast, aka the Buchla synths, and a lot of Eurorack Modular uses this technique as well. It's different where forget the oscillators, you get one. And what you can do is you can fold the waves so you can make it do other harmonics instead. But that said, you can kind of do that in Ableton too, if you know what you're doing. Just to kind of get my knowledge across this, let me just, out of curiosity, Leo, are you on 12 at least? 12 standard? Yes, okay. Let's see, what things don't you have? I don't think you're missing out too much device-wise. Good, 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 good. Okay, you're missing bass. Meh, missing operator. You're a Serum guy, so you'll be fine. But damn, you missed out on operator. Missed out on sampler? Missed out on wavetable. Nah. Like I said, you got Serum, so not exactly lacking there. Granulator 3, you're missing. Who cares about packs? Blah, blah, blah. Effects, that's what we're worried about today. Oh, this is good. Oh, you're missing amp, cabinet, color limiter, convolution, reverb. No. Oh, you don't get echo either. Damn. Okay, you're missing some goodies. You're missing some goodies. So, missing raw. Okay. Okay, I don't want to bag you out, mate, but think about jumping over when you can because it's nice. Not sure we're meant to have access to. Oh, really? You're meant to. It cut out. Oh. Well, let me fix that then. Damn, that's a shame. Is that the same for everyone? Missing an exercise? Let's have a look. That's not it. Modulation. Oh no. What am I in? Modulation deep dive. Set the following settings. Did it cut out? Oh no. Wait a second. No, that should be it. Hang on, what am I looking at here? Modulation deep. Modulation. Yeah. Oh no, it didn't cut out. I think I see what's going on here. It's one exercise. This is wrong. It's the same song. So no, it's just a mistake. Yeah, Angeline. So ignore that. Ignore the last page. So we're good. It's only meant to be one exercise. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough, Leah. That's fine. It's not cheap. That's all good, Martin. No worries at all. If you got other plugins that cover the other things, Leo, that's fine. But I am going to talk about them today because I do believe this with Suite. You do, on paper, have everything you need, whether it's to your taste, that's your own judgment. But in terms of necessities, we pretty much have all bases covered and then some in the case of Ableton Suite. So I'll just talk about most effects today. And some of them will apply, some of them not, but I'll try and make it general. Anyway, audio processing. So audio effects, what we've kind of gathered, hopefully, from my teachings so far, that sound design first. If you can build movement into the sound, which from what I've heard so far from those who've been sending me your sounds, you are doing that, and I'm sure you agree. It's like a step up. It's like your sounds are instantly more interesting. Hopefully you agree with me with that, but that's kind of my take on this whole subject. And that's more important than audio effects, for sure. But the thing is, audio effects, they are awful amount of fun, as we know, because maybe prior to this course you've done with me, the subject you've done with me, you might have found that typically you put effects on pretty early into the process of making the sound cool. In fact, when we started out, I'm included, The way I used to start out was preset first and chuck all the effects on, make it sound cool, right? Are we familiar with that? I'm sure some of us still do it. It's fine. It's valid, but we stepped up. We stepped up. We're now kind of at least maybe tweaking our presets, or we're trying to make some tunes, make some sounds ourselves, make a move. You see how much power that is, even though it's quite simple, it's powerful. So now we can start looking into effects for enhancement. Oh, look, it's two of me. um, that's what we should use audio effects for. Either putting on a little bit of sprinkle of magic, or taking the sound design further. Okay, and I'll circle back to what I'm talking about here. But that's the thing. There's so many effects out there, and some plugins on the market, they just look so cool. I mean, the first one that comes to mind in terms of cool looking, God Particle, something I refuse to use because I have used it and I didn't think it was that special at all. But the name God Particle, wow, that sounds beyond the super analog. Whoa, sales spiel. Oh, even the website's so technical. Where's the actual plugin? Gee whiz, yeah, amazing. It's got these amazing graphics. Come on, guys. $119 for a piece of software. Good for you. It's a maximizer with a clipper. Come on, with a bit of EQ, sure, right? We have that in Ableton Suite. In fact, do you have Saturator, Leo? If you got Saturator, which you do, you have it in your computer. You have it, right? So it doesn't look as nice, but this is Ableton we're talking about. I may have said this previously, but I'll say it again. Ableton, why I've fallen in love with Ableton is that for once in all the software I've used, and I can use all of them quite proficiently, made music with pretty much all the major ones. For once, this software, the focus isn't on the looks. It isn't focused on what we call skeuomorphism. Now I'm going to show you an extreme example of skeuomorphism. If you don't know what it means to make this kind of virtual software or virtual representation look like an item that exists in reality. So essentially skeuomorphic, as in make a studio look exactly like a real studio in the box, in the computer. And I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but just looking at this here, you can see Reason, and I love Reason to bits. Sometimes I find myself going back to Reason just for some old workflow things, but even though it looks different, it in no way does it offer anything unique to Ableton. Maybe besides for some quirky routing things. So this is extreme. It's a software program modeled to look like a studio in the early 2000s, because back in the day, you didn't have plugins, of course. What you would have is racks of devices. So racks of equipment, racks of sound modules, racks of EQs and effects even. So getting a picture of this seems to be a bit tricky. There we go. So this is, so if you want a synth, you choose one, it takes up that much portion of the screen. You want a drum machine, takes up that much. This is extreme. Ableton, I don't know if they looked at this, they probably did, and they'd be silly not to see what's on the market. They would have seen this and went, whatever. That's right. A drum machine in Ableton looks like, as you probably all know, like that. Right, quite decidedly empty, yeah. This is a wavetable synth that looks pretty awesome, right? Looks pretty cool, yeah. Nice controls, we like it. Wavetable in Ableton. It's raw, huh? It's straight to the point. Huh? And for some people, it's annoying because it does. I've heard before some people reckon it looks like accounting software, Excel, or depending on the skin, I guess. But I like this. There's a charm about looking at something that does away with this kind of nuts and bolts, quite literally. Like you realize this screw takes up graphics processing, and a lot of us are using computers that most likely have graphics inbuilt into the CPU. Like it's all one major thing, unless you're a PC user, so you probably have some shit hot graphics card for gaming. You might be lucky, but that requires processing to visualize, right? So this is eating up some processing, and especially for those who have computers with integrated graphics, which means the main motherboard CPU runs the whole show. It means this is taking up valuable CPU, aka latency, aka plugin counts, aka track counts. So sorry, real simulated analog would, yeah, nah, yeah, nah. And I say this with love. I love this. This was me in the early 2000s, in the mid 2000s, making music on the computer. Right after FL Studio, I jumped onto this, and it was a vibe. It was great, but it got a bit funky because by the moment I was adding 20, 30 devices, 20, 30 tracks, the screen was filled up. I would scroll for ages trying to look for something simple like a filter cutoff. You know what I mean? So it gets a bit silly. This, forget it. Straight to the nuts and bolts. Even your devices, your synths, they could have done some graphics, but they don't want to do it because it's not their business model. Their model is straight to the guts of it. So if you like Ableton and its workflow, you should realize it's not just a workflow. That ethos applies to their devices, including their effects. Now, the reason why I'm going on this kind of rant about it, in a way, it's because I think because of the perception of the look of these plugins and the fact they come with the software, they get this unfair judgment that it's basic and it doesn't sound good. Now, all effects have sweet spots. All effects have stuff that can, according to your judgment, can fit the piece of music. You just got to use it. Now, sure, maybe there's not a million presets that sound great, but you can't buy or you can't get something based on presets, or maybe you did, and I've done it before. But the truth of the matter is, the presets are there to kind of demonstrate the product, and that doesn't mean the preset designer pushed the product. Sometimes it does, sometimes not. Like in the case of when I use this virtual copy of this hardware synth, right? There is the case of one of the greatest sound designers of our generation, aka Richard Devine. He's got presets for this device. Obviously, that would push the limits a bit, right? But just because it looks simple doesn't mean it's crap. You're not looking at the plugin, you're listening to it. So a lot of these effects are great, right? Now, I don't know if I showed you my setup. Okay. Now, A, I like workflow. B, I like minimal distractions. As someone with ADD, I really don't want to go through options paralysis because it does my head in, right? But more importantly, I like to know what I have a bit of organization, and be able to just go, okay, I have this for this purpose. Now, I'm not saying you should copy me, but maybe if you struggle with actually making music, maybe you just need to organize a bit, right? Maybe you should look at your samples. Maybe you should look at your plugin list. So, for example, there's this wonderful software. I'm not sure it's still free, but I got it when it's free. And when I got this, it was a bit of a shock about a year ago. I found out I was scrolling at least 3 or 4 pages of plugins. Now, some of these plugins are non-negotiable, like my Motu interface, my Listen To stuff, which is our audio mover stuff, Splice Bridge, for certain projects, Teams, yeah. But in terms of actual plugins, what do I have? Let me highlight them all. Actually, I should get rid of Serato Sample. Don't really use it. Gullfoss, Serum, the effects included, Vital, Millimeters doesn't count. So that's the actual plugins I own. Yeah. And I know that because it's on this list. And I write down the purpose and what plugin I use it for. This might be a bit extreme, but for those who struggle with having too much and not knowing what they have in their palette, their toolbox for what purposes, I found this extremely useful. So I write down exactly what I need. So I want an EQ for workhorse, as in my main subtractive EQ. When I get rid of frequencies, I'm using Ableton EQ8. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. For dynamic EQ purposes, I will use a third party, Nova, but it's free, by the way, because it's great. Not great because it's free. It's free. It's great regardless, right? FabFilter also does it too, but same thing. I find that actually has better options for me. Color EQ. So when I want to boost stuff, I have a Max for Live third-party plugin for that, but that runs within Ableton. There's reasons why I like things to run here as opposed to in a separate window. Compressor, blah, 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 blah. You see, mostly stock, because I know I can pull a certain sound from these effects. Ableton Chorus, totally fine. Shifter, Ableton, Bit Crushing, Ableton, yeah. I tried a lot of the other ones, rented plenty, cracked plenty, tried a lot, found out that there's certain things that I actually like, and surprise, surprise, because I know how to use effects, these effects are great. They're lovely, right? But if you click over here and you're an Ableton Suite user, even standard, even in the case of Leo, you'll know this. If you go to audio effects, it's still a massive list. Control or 67. So on standard, you're probably at a third of that maybe, but still plenty. It's a lot of effects. These are all stock effects, right? Now, on your computer, there's a likelihood of seeing this like this. Where is it? Filters. Organize in. Where's the edit? Oh, no. So go filters. Oh, no, there's a likelihood of seeing it in little families like this, right? You can see dynamic, EQ, dynamics, filter, like all these categories, right? But for a while there, before I got used to using these tools, I had no idea. For me, it was reverb, delay, and that's it. And maybe EQ. I didn't know how to use compressors. It was all very basic back then, right? Maybe phaser flanger, but even then I didn't know how to use them, right? So what worked for me was to create a more general musical category. So this was the old Ableton. They'll put it in these folders, which is handy. But the problem is some effects kind of hip and hop over to different categories, right? So I created my own little category just to make things easy. And instead of multiple categories, there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Modulation effects, time-based effects, spectral effects, as in like tone EQ, dynamics effects, as in volume-based, and wave shaping, where you actually manipulate the waveform. So that's what distortion and bit crushing is. Yeah. So let's start modulation. So in this document, which you all have, right? I give you a little one-sentence summary of this family of effects. So modulation effects, which includes chorus, phaser, flanger. I would also put in pitch shifting in the mix as well. But yes, the big three is chorus, phaser, flanger. Using modulations in pitch, time, and frequency, these effects create movement, new tones, and interesting sound design, right? So let me demonstrate. I'm just going to quickly make a little thingy. What am I feeling like? Let's do drums and melody. Let's do drums and chord progression. So I'll use a drum loop and I'll use a MIDI track. Make a simplistic arpeggio pattern, I reckon. Let's do that. But let's load a loop as well. Drum loop. Still need to go through this. That's cool. Oh, let's go full. Oh yeah, sorry guys, forgot to put listen to. My bad. Silly me. Link coming. Listen to. Yeah, can you hear that? Yeah, it sounds amazing. Awesome. Sorry. Start stream. Here we go. Link in the chat. Jump on, please. While I set up this drum loop and a simple melody. Chord sequences. Yeah, let's do that. Wow. It's going to sound horrible for a second. Just bear with me. What are you doing? Down. Cool. That should do. Right. Basic sound, drums. Maybe I need to turn down a tad. Volume, gain. Oops. Yeah, okay. Modulation effects. Chorus, phaser, flanger. Ableton, what do you got? Chorus, ensemble. Let's put that on drums. What does it do? The idea is that it makes one sound become many, resulting in width and lush, as in thicker sound. Now, putting it on drums seems a bit weird, but why am I doing this is because chorus is an effect that is a spin-off of phaser and flanger. It actually uses the same method, using delay lines and filters to kind of create movement, and usually it's done in a very subtle way without feedback, without any feedback of the delayed line. So it doesn't sound like it's like a crazy effect. That said, the reason why I'm saying that is because with any phaser flanger plugin or chorus, you can actually make effects of either plugin in each one. Does that make sense? Is that said well? So what I'm saying is, with a phaser flanger plugin, or just a phaser, or just a flanger plugin, you can make a chorus effect. And in a chorus plugin, you can make a phaser flanger, right? How? I'll show you. What you do is you realize what is the main driving force behind a type of modulation effect. Expect to see a rate. Now this is, believe it or not, an LFO rate. Surprise. The amount of effect and the feedback of the delay line. They're the three primary controls of a chorus. Phaser flanges similar. What they offer different is different tonal options. So because phasing and flanging uses different methods of comb filtering, which is something that you might have seen or heard about, you get a different tonality. It's for a different purpose, I guess, but it's built the same way. Now, before we get into it, all effects in Ableton, I would say 99% of them, the key to using them is dry-wet, understanding dry-wet. 50-50, I call that half-assed, no point. What you should consider is adding a sprinkle, so anywhere between 0 and 30, anywhere between 1 and 30% is a good sprinkling, a nice healthy touch of the effect. Or you push the sound, you're pushing the sound into a new direction, boom, use anything above 60%, right? Half-assed is equal, clean, equal processing. That to me means undecided, right? Why am I saying this? Is because when you put 50-50, typically you have problems with clarity because you don't have enough clean signal, right? Typically it's like, oh my God, it's the effects is just as loud as the dry signal. Damn, what am I trying to do here? Whereas if you're in the first third-ish, depends on the plugin, they have their own ranges, but generalizing here, this range will keep the clarity of the dry signal because I told it to be mostly dry, right? And basically only 20% here of the effect, right? I don't want much effect. I'm just putting a little bit on. So it's mostly dry, actually. Conversely, if you're pushing a sound, you really want it to go there, in the case of a lot of these effects, then use a lot, right? I'll show you the difference. Here's a little bit. Ooh, back here. And to make it extreme, I'll add feedback. Then I'll make it fully. Now I'll put it as a lot. I'm gonna do half-assed. See, like it doesn't, it's cool, but it's like, well, I can hear the dry, but it's not enough. I need it to be a bit clearer. Especially in this example where I'm putting it on drums. Off. Or, this is off too, by the way. 0%, nothing. Movement. Now I am pushing this, but let me take the feedback off. Very subtle, right? In fact, you can barely hear it. It sounds like murky drums now, because using a subtle chorus to kind of widen and lushen, making sounds more luscious, you don't really put it on drums. It's not a great example, but the reason why I'm doing both synth and both drums is because it's good to hear the differences. So On it goes on the synth. Off. Now I'm going to make it clear. I'm going to put on mono. Ooh. See that sound? That sounds flanging. So that's with feedback. That's how you get flange. But we don't want that. We just want a simple doubling of the sound. Now, if you switch to ensemble, you'll notice there's an extra line. Ensemble is an extra delay line, which equals bigger, lusher, nicer. I prefer slower rates, but you know, this is kind of fun for certain things too. No, I prefer more subtle. I want my chorus to be chorusing. Now, if you remember previously, I would put a chorus on and then put a reverb after. Why? Because they're best friends. Now, if my sound is moving already and it sounds cool, I like that. I'm just gonna LFO this, just cause, just modulate the attack time. Because we're there now, we're not basic anymore. Actually, let's make it random. That'll be cool. Oof, okay. Right, so that's cool, but here's the chorus. It's gonna enhance what I have. I'll add just a bit, 30-ish%. Then I'll put reverb on it. Take this off. Still good. The sound's already interesting first. This is just enhancing. Cool. Chorus. Anyway, let's move on to phaser flanger. You know, just stop me at any time if you want to ask a question. Phaser flanger is the cousin, or actually not even cousin, the sibling of chorus, because like I said, you can make chorus effects with this tool. They combine it because phaser flanger is the same ethos, just done with slightly different tonal things, right? I'll explain in the notes here. So if you look at phaser, then uses stages and notches. Flanger uses a different type of notch. It's essentially different filters, right? Sound similar, but different at the same time. If you're not sure what phaser flangers can sound like, they sound very psychedelic because it's a lot of movement and usually quite, what's the word? World expanding, I don't know. But the key to them, in my personal opinion, is not to have it predictable cyclic wise. So by default, it loads up in a synced situation, which sounds like this. That's solo. Let's make it sound more intense for feedback. That's fine, but I actually prefer my modulation effects, these type of effects, I prefer them slow and not synced, so it's more gradual and organic sounding. So let's switch to flanger. By the way, these effects were crucial in 60s, 70s. Sound design in movies. Phaser, flanger, shifting, pitch shifting, ring mod. We'll talk about this in this same family of effects. Modulation, using movement, filter combinations, and delay lines to create movement and interesting textures. Let's pop this on the drums. Because of the kick drum, it makes it sound a bit messy. So I'm gonna just put a little top layer, and I think this effect will have more chance to shine on the percussive element. So I'm gonna use a loop, but I'm gonna use a top layer. This is not too busy, not too yucky. Let's get something a bit more interesting going. I'm yet to go through all my loops. I will do that. I've done it for my other drum sounds. My one shots is all 10,000 in total's gone. I'm down to 120. Hat. There we go. Let's use that. Yeah. So 10,000 samples gone down the drain. Thank God. I was sick of diving through 800. How much? 2,000 something, I can't remember. It was too many kick drums. So now I'm like, I got 12. And if I need something specific, I'll make it, right? But yeah, it's such a weight off the shoulders. It's so good. Cool. Chuck this phaser flanger on this side. Yes. Combine it with the drums. That dry wet's too much. Ooh, okay. Movement. How's it sound with everything else? Yeah. See, that loop is now surviving a bit longer, even though it's very simple melodically, nothing special. Take all the stuff out, take the LFOs, take the phasers off. Not bad, it's not great either. We need that movement, we need that modulation in our music, I feel. Remember, we're in an electro world, so this is the stuff that makes us go up a level. Bring this back in. So it's all very cool, this movement stuff, and it's all very user-friendly in a way because it's designed for you to play. No right or wrong here. You find your own sweet spots, but you got to play with everything you see. Now, if I open chorus again, let me explain before. We had a normal chorus line, we had a thicker one, and we got this one, which is no multiple delay lines. This one will just turn this into a straight vibrato. So instant LFO to pitch in a way, right? So you can just get simple vibrato like this. Best to use a tiny amount. That old vibrato trick. Now it's good to know there's an effect that will give us instant vibrato if we forgot or couldn't be bothered to set it up with an LFO in the first place. Nice, yeah. Same with phaser flanger. Phaser and flanger are two different things in terms of sonic, but they work the same way. Doubler sounds a little bit like delay, doesn't it? Because it is. It's meant to be used as a voice doubler, like kind of like what chorus does without the modulation part. But when you push the timeout to slower seconds, so more milliseconds, you get an audible repeat. Play these things, right? Use your dry wets. Push or just sprinkle. Okay, cool. Moving on, because there's a lot of effects to talking about. Any questions before I move on to the time-based effects? Thumbs up if we're all groovy. Good-o. All right, time-based. Time's easy. Reverb and delay. Probably the only effects out there in the world, in the world of music production, that most people understand. That said, it's kind of good to know some tricks of the trade, right? Reverb, that's just to be clear, is short for reverberation. That's literally sound in space. Okay. Now, what that means musically in the electronic music land, it's giving you the ability to kind of manipulate how a sound sounds in space, but also its duration. So, if we open Ableton's reverb, take that reverb off. Wet. If I want it to sound like a room, smaller size, short decay. It's next door. Next door. If I want it to sound further away, make it sound darker. That's further away, that's in space now. And the beautiful thing about this, we have dry wet. So, and then, good sounding reverb. Don't sleep on it, right? This is fully wet, of course. Now, if I want that massive tail and that expansiveness, but I want to keep the clarity, mix in as much as you need. Sounds thicker. playing with is a secret weapon right there. This is unique to Ableton. On good reverb plugins, when you change the size of the reverb space, not the decay time, but the size of it, typically reverb plugins make it sound smooth. In Ableton, even at its kind of smoothest setting, which is fast right here, it's actually a bit glitchy in a way. But this sounds amazing as like a new, very useful transition technique. You can almost use it like a riser. Play the damn thing. No smoothing. Well, that doesn't sound so good, to be fair. So that sounds horrible. You want some form of smoothing. So imagine doing this as a transition. So I'm just going to draw this in manually. No, the other way, sorry. Just something simple. Too easy, right? No need for effects packs, no need for extra sounds that take up your CPU and storage, your storage mainly, but it does affect your CPU too. What did this sound not play? Boom. And a note. My notes. 1 second, guys, because I want a bass line. That's all. Where's the playing? Ah, fine. Where's my other reason? Sorry, that's too crazy. Let's just mess about with this. Let me get rid of that. Holy Moses. All right, too much, lots of fun, play with it, get my point. So that's reverb. Reverb, put a sound in space, as simple as that. However, I'm saying it sounds good, it's cool, right? Reverb's nice, but what I'm also saying is if you have Ableton Suite, you actually technically have a reverb that's even better than that, right? Hybrid reverb, it's fantastic. Now, hybrid reverb is only a couple years old, whereas Ableton Reverb, even though it had a couple of touch-ups, it's one of the oldest plugins, right? It's been around for ages. So here's hybrid reverb. Now, there's two modes, kind of like a selectable mode in hybrid reverb. On one side, it's convolution based, which I'll talk about very shortly after this, right? Then the other side is algorithmic. Algorithmic is how most good reverb plugins work. The only ones that don't do it are the ones like Altiverb, which is convolution based. all the other big name ones like Vintage Verb and all that, they're algorithm. So if you're trying to piece together what I'm saying, Ableton Reverb is old, Hybrid Reverb from Ableton is newer. This is algorithm side. That's new algorithms that don't show up in the old reverb. This is a new reverb, right? And it sounds awesome. Check this out. Let's put it on here. Full wet. Even the size parameter works differently. It's more up to date with modern plugins, I guess. Gonna damp it to make it sound darker. Can even freeze it. Drones, anyone? Not really. Great question though, Mark. I'm all in favor of when in sound design situations you cook up a la put whatever effect on as much as you need to until you get the sound you want. When it comes to mixing, then consider putting the sound in a space, even if it's got reverb on it, right? It's why I got 2 reverbs and a delay on my sends. It's because no matter what I make on the channel, because my computer's awesome, it's not really, it's decent. It's an old M1 now. There's better computers that eclipse mine now. I can afford to make my sounds how I need to, but then in terms of mixing, I'll put them in the space in the mix. So this first one is a short reverb, this one's a long one. I used to have 3, but then I realized I was just putting reverb a bit more messy. But having a short that's more upfront in your face, and then one in the background for things in the distant, and then I'll just mix stuff dry. Then I got this depth, incredible depth already. So there's no need to have more than 2 sends, I would say. But yeah, you can put everything on a send if you want to, and just put everything in this interesting texture group. That's totally fine. That's very valid as well. But for me, I like it if I make my sound the way I want and then push it in that space. No right or wrong. You do what you feel is right, right? It's just that throughout the years, I found that doing this allows me to really A, get the sound I want, B, then also put it in the space I want, giving it that depth as well. That's more of a mixing thing anyway. So this class, our only interest is making cool sound, right? So that's the Dark Hall, which is great for that lush sound, more lusher kind of style of smooth length in sustained in sounds. And the bonus of using hybrid reverb, you have a vintage mode, which adds saturation and bit crushing. It's not as simple, it's actually a chain of effects, so it's actually really powerful. Glitchy. Probably a bit too much. That's got some nice stuff in there. I personally, old is plenty. Yeah. Cool. Dark Hall, great. Quartz. It's got a bit of a slapback sound to it. More of a diffusion effect. So if you have a really good delay plugin, you can use delays to diffuse together, and when you get it to diffuse, it becomes a reverb. So it's actually a delay becoming a reverb. Why don't I use this more? I keep forgetting about it. Why? Because I keep going to shimmer because everyone loves shimmer. You know those pedals like the Eventide Black Hole, the Strymon Blue Sky, you know, those kind of holy grail kind of style pedals. I'm sure you have. I'm seeing in the corner of my eye, I'm seeing like dots being typed out. I'm sure I'm sure people know all about it. Blue Sky or Big Sky? Big Sky, isn't it? Ew. Reverb in the box. It's a plug-in in the box. It is. Right. There we go. Black hole? No, that's not right. Isn't it the... no, what's it called again? It's called the... not the H90. Black hole's the preset, isn't it? It's called... what's the reverb called again? Eventide... Space, no? Eventide Space. No, Eventide... Doesn't matter. That's what it looks like. It is a space. Okay. These reverb monsters, and they do sound good. I'm not gonna tell you a fib. I know it sounds good, but the problem is, it's just good because it's a box dedicated to reverb, just like any hardware effect. But it's all digital. It's all algorithm. It's not a real plate reverb, like a real sheet of metal that weighs 40 kilos and you're putting sound through that. No, it's not. It's still software, right? If you want to get a bit more official, then get a real moisturizer is what it's called. Get a real spring reverb. Sure. That's a real reverb that has springs that the sound goes through. That's something that's Trent Reznor would use from Nine Inch Nails to get the tones, and he'll play the springs so they go twang. That's different. That's different, right? That's a different animal. It's malleable physical reverb, right? But these are just software. And one of the things that people love from the Eventide Space and the Big Sky and the Blue Sky, as you pointed out, Mark, some of those reverbs are really lush, and some of those reverbs have a very special setting called shimmer. I noticed that as soon as Eventide had it first, but as soon as the Strymon came out, all of a sudden all these other reverb pedals started having shimmer on them. I don't know if I'm wrong there, but that's what I noticed. Anyway, shimmer, what the hell is it? It's just a pitch delay with reverb, right? In other words, it sounds like this. Yes, Ableton's got it too. All right, crazy, huh? By default, it goes through an octave, but you can go down as well. Myself here. Doing the wrong thing. There we go. And I just started cooking instantly. I haven't made music in so long. I miss it. I'm gonna get back onto it. I'm gonna save this. I'll make this later. Just been teaching you lot and all my other kids and all my other students. And I haven't had enough time to make tunes. Just giving you this amazing content. I love it. I love teaching. I love making stuff. It's all fun. It's all amazing. So, not complaining. It's just the way it is. Perchance save it because, yeah, I might use that for later. Perchance pretty. Cool. All right. Anyway, so yes, beautiful shimmer. Shimmer, you have it. You don't need some other plugin. Don't need to buy it. Whatever. You don't need to get Valhalla shimmer. You have hybrid reverb. It's got a shimmer algorithm. Is nice. All right. Just so I don't lose my beautiful settings, I'm gonna put another hybrid reverb on. All right. I don't want to spend forever on reverb. I'm sorry. Just use just play with it because you also have other brilliant algorithms. This one has surging waves. Slow it down. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that moves so nice. Then there's Prism. Prism is also a personal favorite. Very metallic. That will sound good on the drums. With the percussion layer. Yeah, cool. Anyway, what's the other type? Convolution reverb. You get that if you have Ableton Suite. Hybrid reverb has the other half mode, which is convolution as well. What is convolution? It's when someone goes into here, a space, or gets an MPC or a Bricasti M7 reverb box. I don't know, something. You get a device or you get a space. You send this through it. And you do this. Actually, I don't know if you can hear this. I don't know if you can hear that, but yeah, you send a sine wave sweep. And what it does is you record that using a flat measurement mic, and you capture the timing, the response of the room, the impulse response. And what that means is it will capture the sound in the space. So the reflections, the decay times, blah, 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 right? If you do it on a machine, because you can send it through a machine as well, pump it out, record it in for a speaker, for a flat mic, measurement mic, you can record impulse responses of machines, which is cool because it helps you capture in time the space. So that's why when you open Convolution Reverb, first thing you see is real places, and yes, these are real places. Someone in the Ableton, I don't know, the impulse response department went into the New York Sports Center and did a sine wave sweep because they could. Swedish nuclear reactor, hopefully a safe one for impulse response. I don't know, maybe I don't know if they got deep into the nuclear reactor, but somewhere. And if you click on something like digital, these, I said Bricasti M7. What the hell's that? Bricasti M7. Check out this price tag. Remember, it's a reverb box. You have the same algorithms here. Yay! Do they sound good? Of course they do. The problem is, though, it's a box that's dedicated to reverb. What happens is a sound will go through that algorithm and it will kind of permeate and then get constantly calculated, blah, blah, blah. With an impulse response, you capture the space, but you capture it frozen in time. So you don't get as much movement and detail, but you do get the initial of a space. You just don't get the same kind of organic. So it's not awesome, but impulse responses was our only way to get authentic, like enough, emulations of real life places and devices. Now it's 2024. We've advanced. We've gone into machine learning, right? So machine learning is completely different. It's when you obviously create an algorithm that essentially creates a database of behaviors, a little bit like AI, but not really AI. It's a form of it. It's in the same family, I guess, but it's constantly learning. And now that's where it's at, where people use machine learning algorithms on famous devices so they can kind of capture every nuance of that piece of kit. Currently, people are using it to model amps in cabs, which is awesome. So, yeah, there was impulse response based amps. Kemper profilers used to do that. But now they're doing neural networking, so neural machine learning, which you can get. What's out there? I think it's NAM, machine learning amp. Yeah, neural amp modeler. It's open source, as in doesn't cost money. You need money to buy something like a hardware box to, use it with your guitar if you're into this world. But people have already started applying neural modeling to not synths, but effects boxes like the black hole and the space and the big sky, blah blah blah. I know it's a lot of heavy stuff, but basically you got a BM7 kind of, and it sounds great. So if I put on this instead. But no matter what I do to it, the main thing with all your reverbs, no matter what style reverb, please do me a favor, EQ your reverbs. This is where things go wrong for people when they're cooking with a lot of reverbs. They don't EQ it, and then you create mess, and then you lose headroom, and it's not fun anymore, and you get disheartened by your work. I EQ my reverbs heavily. My general rule of thumb is if I want it closer, in your face kind of sound, I want it bright and short decay time. Bright in my face. Maybe even extra bass for some sounds, but probably not because I don't want to create problems in the mix. Whereas my longer reverbs, I cut the bass, cut the tops, make it sound more focused on the mids and high mids because I don't need that. I just need it to be lush. So yeah, currently whenever you see my reverb sounds, I'm actually not making it sound like super bright. I just want it to be lush and warm sounding. So that's what I'm doing with the EQ there. That's what I'm doing here too. said that the problem with impulse response reverbs is that it captures a moment in time, so you don't get movement. So good reverb plugins allow you to add in modulations of pitch and filters to create movement. And so I'm doing that now. So the sound is modulating in space. Yeah, let me make it fully wet so you can hear it. Bouncing around in space. So in other words, I can fake having a real precasty BM7 by having the impulse response and adding in modulation after. Awesome. Fun fact, you can get impulse responses online, sometimes free, sometimes not. And you can just load audio files into it. I mean, impulse responses are just WAV files. So this thing doesn't know a difference between an impulse response WAV file and a normal, any audio WAV file. So if I want to be a bit stupid here, chuck that in there. I've just used this drum loop as an impulse response. So that's a bit weird because now this space is determined by this little drum loop I've chucked in. Now, if you want to get into something more esoteric, experiment with convolution reverb. For certain sound design things I'm going for, this plugin alone is worth Sweet's additional price. Like this has allowed me to do very specific sound design things. Band reverb. Make this pump. I'm building layers of movement in the electronic world, electronic music world, en masse. That's this detail that makes us listen to certain tracks and go, God, how is that so good? It's what makes artists stand out, like Aphex Twin, the details. Autechre, the details. John Hopkins, the details. All the greats of electronic world. Some tracks are just straight bangers because they're bangers, and some tracks are just for the listener, just listening in on the headphones or good speakers and just be like, whoa, yeah, the details. Anyway, I just realized there's not much time left, so that's reverb. Delay, simple, it's just rhythm. Just watch your feedback. Let's get rid of some of these. Might have to make this a two-parter. It's hard to do it in 2 hours. I was struggling to do it in 3, so how can I do it in 2 hours? So this is a bit tricky. Sorry. Sorry. Echo, delays, repeats. Sound psychedelic, because it's multiples compounding of rhythm. Feedback is the amount of repeats. That's simple. Above 100%, it starts starts folding back on itself. There's a whole ethos with Sanazone, creating feedback loops and creating experimentations based on this. So you can go there, or you can just keep it simple, just a little bit of feedback. Nothing wrong with this. This is practical. Use your filters too. Clean it up. I never have it more than 5K because it's too bright, but if you want it bright, it gets a bit busy. This is more warm. Echo is nice because you can add noise to emulate. This is meant to emulate a space echo, which is a legendary Roland tape echo. It's very organic. The other delay echo plugin in Ableton, of course, is delay. Be aware of synced and unsync. Unsync obviously means measurement in time separate to the BPM. Use your EQs. And don't forget, this button means linking between left and right. You can actually have one side synced, one side loose. Ping pong means left and right arise at different times, making it sound wider. And the delay plugin can't go above 100% feedback, so it's not designed for feedback loop. It's more of a cleaner sound. You can have a nice long amount of feedback, but it doesn't loop on itself, so it doesn't build up. Be careful with feedback loops above 100. If you're not careful, you can create a really bad build-up, right? So it can get to the point where it becomes... So to stop that, as soon as things start to get a bit crazy, pull the feedback down or dry wet down all the way down to 0. You'll be safe. Gated reverb. You need to use 2 plugins to do that. It's more of a technique than a separate plugin. That's easy to do. Do I have time? Let me just show you that real quick. So, where can I put it on? Let's put a snare. Gated reverb. Let's see what we got rhythm wise. Let's put a snare. I don't have any. There, that'll do. Oh no, simpler. No, I want an audio track. Oh. Put that. Cool. Simple snare pattern. Reverb. So what I'll do is reverb, lots of it. And then gate. So this refers to a technique. Oh, I'd like to put reverb before. I forget the order. Sidechain to the same snare. believe this is right. It's been a while since I've done it. So what I'm doing here, the question is from Mark, gated reverb, which was a key sound in the 80s. You might recognize it. And why is it called gated reverb? It's because typically it would be a huge reverb sound and it'll just cut off immediately when the snare is off. So it sounds super splashy. And the reason why they did it is because they could make it sound massive. And also to keep it clean, they gated it so it will cut off so it doesn't go hey, Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's too much for me. So the trick is to put a big reverb. Bright's good. Just to make it really extravagant. Use a gate, sidechain it to the same snare. You can use this via a bus send as well. They had to back in the day, but this is fine. And just watch your threshold and release times. So before it wasn't doing much. So now. Let me find a point where the reverb can't be heard. Needs to grind down a bit sooner. There you go. Roughly. Big reverb, gate, sidechain, snare, trigger, done. Yeah. Cool. All right. Delay, easy. It's obvious. But play around with it. Don't just set and forget. Play around with the time. Change feedback overall around the arrangement of the track. Just play with your effects. It's imagine having it as a box. This is why I did my list. It's like I imagine having a physical studio. Oh, that's my reminders. Yeah, we don't need that. The notes. I imagine them as actual boxes, even if they're software or not, doesn't matter. I imagine that's my device. And I'm playing with them. I don't just leave them alone. No set and forget. Not when it comes to making music electronically. Set and play and record. Cool. Anyway. Let's move quickly on. Half an hour. What can we do in half an hour? Well, we got 3 more. Yikes. Well, this one's not so bad. Spectral. Spectral means spectrum. And I'll quickly show you. We've done lots of this already, by the way. So, effects, auto filter. You see me use it. Love it. Modulate it. Use a sidechain input. Yes, there's a sidechain input into the filter. Get old school. What do you mean, Dave? Well, I'll show you. Just quickly put together a sound. Can you play, please? Make it sharp. Note, doesn't matter. Yeah. Cool. So I had this yucky thing I have here. I'm going to mute it. I'm going to go back to this bass, sidechain input, that weird thing I just made. Let's listen to this. To hear this affecting the filter, I need to actually engage the envelope. Where do you think that rhythm's coming from? It's coming from this. So if I disregard this filter doesn't work, but if I play this, even though I muted this track, it's actually me opening the filter of the instrument. But then I need to unarm that. That I said old school because that's a very, ever since trance music and just before that techno music, trance music definitely did this the most. Hardcore music did it. Jungle did a bit of it. This is the tricks to give it that rhythm. If you can think of trance music, it's da 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 da. They use that. They got that by using sidechain tricks, and you either did it with the filter or you did it with a gate. Same thing. So this, just close this a bit more. Put this back on. What's kind of fun about this, right, is you can apply it to anything. You can copy that effect now and put it on anything else. So if I put some sort of vocal, yes, we're doing it. We're going there. Where's me? World voices. Maybe not that. Why is that pitched up? Oh, that's probably my sample rate, damn it. Sure. Chuck that here. Cancel, sorry, cancel. Let's just do this. Trimmed it a bit too short. I know this sounds weird, but bear with me. Put lots of reverb on that. Copy this sidechain filter thing because it's using the same trigger. Cool. Well, it's cool for me because I like this kind of effect. It's my childhood. Am I still connected? It just says my phone's disconnected. Rejoin. Add this device. Okay, I think I'm still here. You can still hear me, right? Yeah? Thumbs up if you can still hear me. Hopefully. Yeah? Thumbs up if you can still hear me. I'm still present. Yeah, good. Okay. That was weird. All right, moving on. Oh no, sorry, I didn't move on. I moved on too quickly. So that's filters. That's using the sidechain input the filters. Lots of fun. Don't forget, I mentioned one time that EQ and filters are the same thing, basically. Maybe for different purposes, but doesn't mean you can't do this. EQ. Should I do it using LFOs? No, I'll start scaring people if I do that. I'm just going to hit record. Check this out. Here we go. I might biff this up, but check this out. Wait for it. Wait for it. Get my other one. Record it. Keep disconnecting my phone. So it kind of sounds like a phaser flanger, but it's customized. It's a pad and I forgot to change the polyphony. Just watch it. Too much reverb now. Get the point. EQs, you can use it as a fancy filter too. All right, moving on. Compression. Oh, do I have time to talk about compression? Yeah, I do. Compression is very simple. You need it to control the dynamic range. We're in the electronic world. Compression doesn't apply as much, if not at all, if the sources of your sounds are through these synths and drum machines we have on Ableton or any plugin, or samples that we get from Splice or Loop Masters, they're processed. They look good, right? Look at my samples here I got from these places. They're actually quite nice and dynamic, to be fair. But let's look at another loop from a bigger name company. If I go to my loops here, oops, wrong page. Yeah, here we go. Loops. Now let's look at a big name company. In this case, this is a Riemann. Like, look at this. There's nothing to compress. Every hit is even Steven. Even this loop. Look, how consistent is that? Inspect your bloody waveforms. This doesn't need compression. It needs EQ to fit it in the mix, right? That's the problem. Lots of the times we get sample packs, they sound so good because they already processed. We're dealing with a different problem. We don't need compression. We need to use sidechain compression. We probably need to use some clever ducking tactics, frequency specific ducking tactics, which hopefully you learn from me next semester. If it's not from me, someone else would teach you. And EQ, no matter what, any mixing, EQ is the most important. Compression, nah, no. I know big name producers who pump out stuff consistently. They don't touch a compressor because they get sounds from good sources. They know how to sound design, so the sound's already rich. We don't need to compress. What we need to compress really is acoustic stuff. So if you record guitar, you record your voice, you record anything yourself, or you record other artists, we need compression to make those signals consistent. We're coming at that at a different angle, but in the electronic world, barely need it. Do I have time to demonstrate? No, I don't. But examples, if you record an acoustic drum kit, obviously sounds weak. If you record it, even if you record it well, it sounds weak because a lot of dynamics, right? To make it sound more driving, yeah, you need to compress to kind of make every hit sound more prominent, right? So if these loops here, I don't need to. They're very consistent. There's no need, right? I'm gonna have to blaze through that because we're running out of time. Maybe I'll go back to it. Oh no, I'll squeeze it in. I'm sorry. Let's go to find an acoustic drum loop would be good. Full drum breaks. It's compressed already. Yeah, okay. This is already mixed a bit, so it's not the best example. Not a great example here, but it's a good way to show you. It's still dynamic somewhat. So I'm going to make everything sound like it's hitting the same. Compression, please come over here. Slow attack, fast release. Doesn't matter. What's the main thing is the threshold control. And level matching. All right, if you don't know how to hear compression, listen to the cymbals, listen to the snare, listen to the background sounds. Sounds die out, reverb tails are natural. Whereas if I turn this heavy-handed compression on, everything sounds the same level. Even look at your meters. So without the meters, jump, jump, jump. Here we go, same. And this is a gentle compression too, by the way. It's a great one, but it's quite gentle. And I'm pushing it hard. You can already hear how everything kind of flatlines. Don't compress, please. Especially in our world, don't compress too much. Unless you're recording something, recording voice, recording instruments, compress away. You need to. Especially to compete with electronic sound sources. Electronic stuff sounds good, just the way it is. It's just so rich, right? Anyway, moving on quickly. Last bit, wave shaping. Wave shaping means distortion. Distortion is two main flavors, analog, digital. Basically, you have odd and even harmonics and then just odd harmonics, right? Which is similar to square waves and saw waves. If you think about it, saw waves, rich in tone, has all the harmonics. Square waves, which sound a bit more digital, just odd harmonics. Anyway, let's check it out. Distortion, what's the key to using it? Let's go to, put on the bass. Go away. So there's levels to distortion. You first off have saturation, then it goes to overdrive or overdriven distortion, and then proper distortion, and then full on fuzz. Let's show you the differences. Distortion, saturation, just a little bit. Good saturation will give you extra volume and perception of sound. Why? Because it's sprinkling harmonics on the sound. Push it a bit harder. Especially if I close the filter, because I'm a bit kind of giving us all these frequencies. Hear that little yeah, nice. You can color this. So you don't use compression to add volume, you use compression to manage volume, because it's a dynamics effect. It's management of volumes, whereas this, you can actually add volume or add perception, make it easier to hear. Means that you can have, if you have a problem with bass not cutting through because you can't hear on your laptop speakers, then you add some saturator just so it has a bit more sizzle. And it will kind of poke out through the mix a bit better. Ah, the tempo. Okay, let's loop that around here. I need a bit more volume. Without saturator. Still good. This has a bit more grit, but I am pushing it, so I'm going to make it a bit more subtle. Just a bit. Just a bit. Cool. So that's saturation. Let's go into overdrive. Let's go into distortion. Let's go to true full fuzz. Can I do it with this? Yes, I think I can. This is not the right plugin to do it, but I'm trying to demonstrate something here. Guitarists will know this. The more you distort, so the higher you go to fuzz, the more the sound gets thinner and nastier, which is a good thing. It's kind of the point. But for every other sound you put distortion on, you'll notice that the more you push the distortion, the less fullness of tone you get, because you're distorting the fundamental. It goes back to that theory of why we start with a sine wave for kick drums, because we want the full tone, and then we can push it to a certain point, right? Oh, my shoulder's starting to die on me. Pedal. So I'll show you on pedal. Overdrive, distortion, fuzz, solo. You can hear straight away there's that thinner, aggressive sound, warmer, bit more tone and low end. That's why they have EQs on them in the first place, to try and bring it back in. Or actually take it out even more. Look, there's a dry wet. So that's being clever because I'm putting a bit of fuzz on the whole thing. John Luke screwed it up for me. Although I don't like things too distorted myself. I want warmth and fuzz, but not so much that it sounds too destructive. Not all the time. Sometimes I like things a bit more aggressive, but I normally try and mix it all in. That's more where I like it. So yes, saturation going all the way up to full fuzz. You get that kind of more aggressive sound, but you do lose your bottom end. So keep that in mind. What's the opposite of distortion and saturation? Bit crushing, which is here. Let me put that on the pads. What does it sound like? Well, you reduce the quality of the sound. You literally pull this down into nothing, into broken audio. But here's a trick. Good bit crushers will give you filters, so you can do this. Which, by the way, if you set this right, or if you know your hardware, you can emulate old samplers, old, MPCs, SP1200s. If you set the rate and the bit rate correctly, you can make it have the character of an old sampler, which is those samplers. What made them special? It's not because of the workflow, because they're very simple. What made them special is the sound. The sound was inferior mathematics, basically lower sample rates. So there you go. Actually, this would be great on drums too. So I notice whenever I start reducing the bit rate to kind of get this bit crush sound happening, I get, as a consequence, more top end because the sound is starting to break up. It sounds crunchier. This will be exacerbated when I reduce the bit rate too. That's too much. I never like too much. That's cool. How's that sound with the bass now? Sound because you're getting the breaking up of the audio, but then you're filtering afterwards. It's got this kind of like murky underwater quality to it. It's actually how certain producers in certain industries actually develop their sound, is using these sort of tricks to create this nuance effect. It's pretty awesome, right? Anyway, lots to read there. You can read this in your own time. I had to rush it towards the end there because it just taking up too much time, and my back is starting to capitulate on me, which is not so fun. Back and shoulders. Is there any questions, especially relating to today or your assessment? Are we good to go for the until considering that the due date's in 2 weeks? Are we looking all right? Yeah, thumbs up if you're feeling okay. If you're not, then reach out to me. Always, I'm ready to help. Yeah. But yeah, just let me know if there's any issues. But yeah, if you haven't already sent me stuff for feedback, try to get it by next week, I'd say. That way, that gives you a week to finish off the rest of it. But even then, that might be not enough time because there's a report as well. Yeah. But yeah, do your best. If you're struggling in any way, do let me know, right? And remember, for those who need more time, I don't give you the okay for that. You can't. I don't have the authority. You reach out to Michael Rohanek about it, and if you need more time for reasons, because everyone has lives, you message Michael now this week, not a week before it's due. It should have been done even before that, but I'd say this is the latest this week. If you need more time, reach out to Michael this week. Otherwise, he might not approve it. Yeah. But yeah, hopefully you don't have to go through that. Hopefully you be sweet for the assessment. But if you need just some advice, I'm here for you. But yes, go through the notes. There's no exercises really. It's just a bunch of knowledge. And the ultimate takeaway from today: play all the effects you have at your disposal. Figure out which ones you like and use them over and over again. Get comfortable with dry, wet. Use a little, use a lot. And then just play, push, push, push. But most importantly, if your effect has the ability to control the EQ, like the actual tonality of it, then do it. It's there for a reason. It helps you clean up muck. For example, echoes don't do well on low end on bass. I rarely heard a good bass heavy echo. It's not nice. Usually it makes it sound muddy. So that's one of the things I do, and I have set it up on my Echo, is that I cut a lot of the low end in there. Not so much that I lose warmth, but just cut off the real sub stuff. Don't need it. Reverb, same. If you're not EQing your reverbs, they all come with EQs. So hybrid reverb, convolution reverb, standard reverb, they all have EQs. It's there for a reason. Use it. But yeah, hopefully that helps. I know it's a lot of yabbering from me, but best of luck with that. Hit me up if you have any questions. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your week. Cool? Bye, 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 bye. Thumbs up, we're all good. See ya. Bye, 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 bye. See you all. Bye, bye.